over on Rumble, Steven Crowder is very timidly beginning to criticize the Trump administration for this absolute boondoggle and F-up by all of these kind of overgrown frat boys that Trump has staffed the administration with. I'm, of course, referring to the fact that Hegseth and Waltz texted a bunch of bombing plans to bomb Yemen, which, by the way, under discussed here, but that included a civilian home, and they killed dozens of people in Yemen.
The building, yeah.
And I wish that would be a little bit more of the focus of the coverage, but the scandal is obviously at the forefront of everybody's minds. And back in the day, old school Republicans used to talk about national security. Not sure how secure it is to be texting war plans on a commercially available app, Signal, and also when you're using your presumably private personal phone number to do so. And that personal phone number is readily available on the internet, as was uncovered by that German paper that found Hegseth and Waltz's phone numbers just on the internet. Their Venmos were still open, that kind of thing. Signal is encrypted, but if they know your phone number, they can put malware, spyware on there, and then they can just, as Matt was saying earlier, transcribe the keystrokes and know what you're doing that way. And so it's just wildly, just completely incompetent. As they say, this is a merit-based administration now, which is why we hired the Fox Weekend host with the drinking problem. And it's the DEI that's causing all of our incompetence. Just so many insane layers to this. And even it seems like Steven Crowder can't deny it anymore.
So we were coming in right after he did a Somebody's Getting Fired parody that I'd spare us from.
I honestly don't even recognize Steven Crowder when he's not wearing one of his little outfits or like sexually harassing his staff. It's like,
there's no holsters either.
There's no holsters, and he's not teabagging anybody. Who even is this man?
Who is this guy?
Nice one. It's true. He should. But it's a little. Yeah, he for sure should get fired.
You know what he should do? You were saying this earlier. He should resign.
Sorry, they're talking about Mike Waltz.
Yep, that was the subject of the Somebody's Getting Fired.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah, because they need a fall guy here, or at least they seem to think so. But maybe Trump doesn't. We'll see.
Agree with you.
Yes. Make it easy on everybody.
Let me give you the timeline here a little bit. And to be clear, Tulsi Gabbard, President Trump may not have known. Right. CIA Director John Ratcliffe may not have known. They said that there was no class.
Now that's a little bit of cope, and this is what's funny about this is like it's Crowder doing his best. This is damage control 101, and you need. And Tulsi Gabbard is in trouble because she said.
She may have perjured herself.
DNI. She's like, yeah, I don't think there's anything classified on that thing where we're talking about F-18s and went exactly down to the minute they're leaving on bombing raids. And very clear, and she's actually the one who sort of set along the chain of events that prompted Goldberg to actually publish, because if she's saying like, well, there's nothing in there, then fine, all right.
Right.
There's nothing in there, but all right, let's just go a little bit more. But they, of course, knew, and it's a problem with them too. But.
And the problem is that this is likely a broader practice across all agencies because they're trying to avoid oversight.
Disclosure,
and the Presidential Records Act, which would require all of these communications to be archived.
And Crowder sort of alludes to that, saying they're trying to avoid the deep state, which didn't work for Hillary Clinton, did it?
Trump was trying to avoid the deep state by hoarding all those secret documents in his bathroom just because of the deep state.
Classified info that had been shared. Okay? So did President Trump may not have known. Right. CIA Director John Ratcliffe may not have known. They said that there was no classified info that had been shared. Okay? So did Pete Hegseth, though. The problem here is that he knew because he would have been the one who sent them.
Yes.
So this morning, Jeffrey Goldberg.
Bluff.
Yeah, Jeffrey Goldberg, who I do not like at all. To be clear. And you'll understand in a moment just how much I don't like him. he released more text detailing specific plans. So to give you an idea, here they are. Here's the timeline, references available, link in the description. 12:15 Eastern, F-18s launch the first strike package at 1:45. Trigger-based F-18 first strike. Window starts at 2:15. There were strikes, drone strikes on a target there as far as we're dealing with the Houthis.
So this matters. This matters. This is definitely when the first bombs will definitely drop.
Yeah.
At a specific time.
In
Final
all
location.
caps.
This is the precise moment to take cover.
Hey, there's nothing classified in here.
Fine, I get it.
These are the texts saying this is when the first bombs will definitely drop.
This isn't war plan.
There is no classified information. Is this not? This is definitely when the first bombs will drop.
Well, son of a.
That could be anything.
Yeah.
Okay, but they did drop right here, right? Yeah, coincidence? At 3:36.
We didn't say what kind of bombs it was going to be or how much, they'd weigh.
Yeah, the F-18, the second strikes begin to start. There was the first sea-based Tomahawks that were launched.
Oh, they did.
And then the texts also show the aftermath. So this is, again, look, you just have to be, people come out and say there was absolutely nothing classified. There were not war plans. And this guy goes, all right. I mean, I just don't understand how you mishandle it like this. And especially when you look at it now and you see Walter like, this is absolutely wrong. There's nothing classified. And well, he said there was classified. Then he said there kind of wasn't. And then Pete Hegseth said there wasn't. Again, Tulsi, Gabbard, and Donald Trump may not know, but Hegseth knows. Vance knows. So here are some texts in the aftermath from Waltz. Typing too fast. The first target, their top missile guy. We had positive ID of him walking into his girlfriend's building, and it's now collapsed. J.D. Vance, excellent.
It's right after the strike in this text.
Right after.
Now that part, I mean, we should just pause on how heinous that is and how this is just a normal part of the sort of world order that we're supposed to be proud of preserving. That based on some half the world away, seeing a guy enter what we think to be his girlfriend's apartment, we just collapse that entire building, killing dozens and dozens of people. And then just without any sort of further information besides the building collapse, we do thumbs up emojis. Like, talk about Verhoeven.
America fire. But again, they hate us for our freedom.
And that's right. That part, honestly, that part is fine. But JD Vance, like JD Vance
was responding. He knows that these are classified at this point.
He needs to advise President Trump really well. Like, hey, I was on that thread. I responded to that. Here's some of the information that was in there. Let's handle this differently.
If this was just about like, hey, look, we don't know how this guy got added, and it should never happen again. And someone said, hey, the reason we went to Signal is because it's hard to know who to trust here as far as our encrypted apps that obviously other people have access to. And we had so many leaks in the first Trump term.
Got him.
We've tried to take precautions. We're going to do a better job. That's fine. The problem is the lie, saying there's nothing classified in there, and you give the left ammo. Don't give them an easy win.
I like that they're nervous about this.
No, it's crazy.
I think it's because it's so undeniable, like I was saying earlier. I mean, what is your guys' take on why this is the thing that seems to be putting them on their heels? Is it because it's so sloppy and the lies were so quickly disproved by Goldberg just putting out the screenshots?
I mean, I think he said it right there, right? Like, that's what matters to them. Like, they don't care about any sort of the actual real world repercussions or implications or what it means for anyone involved with what happened with the bombing. It was all about, we gave the left an easy win here. Like, the leak itself gave the left ammunition that we can't deny because there they are right in the chat saying this stuff. Ooh, like that's I guess the big deal to them, right? Not like this was something horrific that happened, or
why are we spending money on this when we're supposed to be America first?
Right.
But also even looking at it from like Matt just did, even further looking at it from their point of view, because obviously they don't care about innocent lives over there in Yemen or anything. Even from their point of view, though, it's like we're supposed to be all about national security and taking care of America first, and here we are just like letting this secret classified info go with someone an outsider that we invited in the chat. Like, it's incredible, but that's what they care about, and I guess that's why they're so upset about it.
I think the clumsiness is definitely part of the issue, but I think even just to zoom out a little bit, we're seeing like Trump supporters throughout the media peel off due to issue after issue in his sort of second term, in a way that kind of, to me, mirrors like Bush, Bush the Lesser's second term, where he comes in, he swift boats John Kerry. People are still pro-war. They're still pro-invasion of Afghanistan, war on terror, Iraq, all that other stuff. And then around 2005 to, late 2005, suddenly you hear like just like a shift in popular culture, shift in right-wing media, shift across the board, of people just be feeling more comfortable expressing dissatisfaction with the Bush administration. I think, that's happening in record time with Trump's second term due to any number of reasons. The tariff wars that are causing the economy to collapse, his running on America first and then unmitigated support for Israel. Like, all of these things are causing people across the right-wing media to have, a reason to distance themselves from him if they want to maintain their, bona fides with their own supporters, with their own listener base. So I think you're just seeing people growing dissatisfaction with Trump.
I think that might have been driven by the tariff thing, because we know that there's a majority of the Republicans who are in power, and say the financial press, whether it's CNBC or Fox Business, they just care if line go up. And that's the problem with what Trump is doing here, is that, he's enriching the billionaires that are a part of his administration and that are in his circle, but he's not enriching, I feel like, the rest of the capitalist class immediately in the way that maybe it looked like he might at the beginning. We'll see what happens with this budget and with the tax cuts for the rich. That's going to be a huge benefit to them and to worsening income inequality. But I mean, you even see Laura Ingraham doing the interview with him in the Oval Office, and he's so diminished. I think this is the other story that doesn't get talked about enough. Is he's lazy and tired and sleepy. He seems to be outsourcing decision making to Stephen Miller based on those texts, and I feel like you can see it in the way that they're treating immigrants and pro-Palestine demonstrators. And in that interview with Ingraham, he's just kind of fixated on the way the Oval Office is decorated, the little curtain he put in front of the Declaration of Independence. I mean, this is a person who is close to the end of his life. And we've now consecutively over the past 3 presidential elections elected the oldest person ever to be elected. It was Trump the first time, broke the record. Then Biden broke the record. And now Trump 2.0 is older than when we elected Biden last time.
He said he didn't know why people were including Pete Hegseth in the story.
He's all over the story. He's maybe the main character.
He's completely checked out. It's going to be as apparent as it was with Biden.
Yeah,
and he's he also said something like there was maybe a technical issue with Signal, like it was a tech bug or something. Yeah, he was like, oh, maybe there's something wrong with Signal. He doesn't even know what Signal is.
Well, that's the thing, is that it goes against their core argument. Just the way they attack Goldberg, it's and he's a nasty scum sucker. It's well, yeah, that's why it's egregious that you included him in bombing plans.
Yeah,
but also another area of this that's interesting is in order for Goldberg of The Atlantic to be added to this group chat, the person who added him had to have had him in his contacts.
Yep.
There had to be some sort of previous, Waltz. So there had to be some sort of previous contact between the two for him to even be recommended, because Signal doesn't just randomly recommend you someone as you're typing out a name to add to a chat. It brings up, this is person's in your contacts. This might be who you mean. And based on the Venmo stuff that came out, there were other journalists too. So is Waltz a leaker now? Previous to from the Trump administration to journalists. Now, previously Trump would be very upset over something like that in that first administration. Any sort of leak would or question of you possibly being a leaker would have you immediately a suspect and probably lose your position in the administration. And now Trump is just hands off about it. It's very weird. He's totally checked out.
He doesn't care about those kinds of leaks. I mean, this is a part. The Doge stuff is exposing all of our personal data to the world, to these little Groyper staffers and to Elon Musk. our social security number, our bank information, what have you, our home addresses. That is like this is if this was done by a Democrat or really like in another time, this would be considered one of the most like a mass data breach of our most sensitive information that people in other circumstances might go to prison for. But because this is sanctioned by Trump, because he needs to help Elon Musk make Twitter into, I don't know, PayPal 2.0, and it's very valuable to have every American's bank information and financial data for that. Oh, it just doesn't necessarily matter because like the leaks that Trump cares about are the stuff that makes him look bad. That's what he means by leaks and whistleblowers.
Well, not only that, like
Epstein files.
Epstein files, yeah.
But not only that, what you just mentioned, on top of that, I think also like if this was a Democrat who accidentally added a journalist to their group chat, you'd have the conservative conspiracy being like, oh, the media is working in cahoots with the Democrats, with President Obama or President Biden, because why else would they have that contact? You know, maybe he didn't mean to add him in this one, but were they going to like draft some like nicer PR thing for based on all this information for the Atlantic, who would then just take that PR, that press release, and package it to give to their readers? Like, you know, it's not like they accidentally leaked it to some lefty critical reporter or journalist either. Like, I'm not even, it's possible that, you know, Waltz isn't leaking something to Goldberg. It's possible that Waltz and Goldberg have a very cordial relationship with the administration overall, especially when it comes to things regarding Israel. And that's why he has their contact, to make sure that the administration's point of view is perfectly wrapped up for Goldberg and the Atlantic to distribute exactly the way they want to frame it.
Well, Goldberg was a former IDF prison guard. We've talked about that. And is he American or Israeli? Because
I'm not sure.
I mean,
I don't think he's born in Israel.
He wasn't born in Israel, because then that means
born in New York.
Born in New York. So he's not. That means that it's not necessary. Okay, yeah, he moved to Israel and served in the IDF during the first Intifada. So it's not like he was a part of the compulsory military service in Israel. He just like really wanted to go over there and stick it to those Palestinians. So like the Atlantic is, I can't think of a magazine that's more pro-Israel or our pro-national security state. And that's why Waltz had his contact, is because like he thought he could use him for propaganda in the future. It's not shocking to me at all, but it was a pretty big mistake to go after him like this. When they publicly claimed that there was no classified information, they were just like insulting him immediately. He goes like, all right, I mean, I'll just put out these screenshots that prove me exactly correct. I mean, well played, everybody.
That's exactly.
I still can't believe he. Oh, go ahead, Brandon.
No, I was going to say, it reminds me exactly of when like Lauren Boebert got like exposed for like inappropriate activity, like vaping and blowing smoke into like a woman's face at the Beetlejuice production in, where's she from? Colorado. It's like Denver, Colorado. And it seems to be like they're, you know, the right-wing victim / entitlement complex. Their first impulse is to lie and dare someone to call them out on their lie. And then when they do get called on their lie, they have no real like way to get around it other than to like amp up the demeaning, amp up the ad hominem, and then like disappear in embarrassment, hoping it blows over. And then like a week from now, they'll be, when people ask about it, they'll be doing that thing where like, oh, you're still obsessed with that. You're obsessed with talking about that situation that was really bad that happened.
Right. What's wrong with you? Total Trump derangement.
Derangement syndrome. He's trying to get that off the ground now. It's like, yeah, okay, bro.
All right.
Although I do think, looping back around to your point, Emma, before Matt jumps in real quick, I think that like, Trump is low energy. Like he's clearly lost a lot of the charisma. If you watch him speak now, he doesn't have as many of those like fun moments about water pressure. It's all just like, cyclical talking. But like the presence of Musk in combination with like Trump's diminished persona allows for like a very easy vehicle for people to criticize the presidency now. Like, because you don't have to criticize Trump anymore. You can just criticize Musk. You can criticize a lot more the people he surrounds himself with, because like he surrounded himself with even more openly corrupt and like incompetent figures in his first term.
To add to your point briefly, in Pennsylvania, they just flipped a state Senate seat. It was a plus 15 Trump district. And the Democrat that won ran exclusively anti-Musk. Like that was his whole thing. So
I mean, Trump is like completely checked out. Like his day now consists of him making some random announcements on Truth Social, and then you hear about him going golfing.
Yep.
Like, and the announcements are like, yeah, I'll sign a few executive orders, and maybe there'll be some, press photos of him signing those executive orders. But other than that, this is a totally different Trump from the first term, where he was very clearly in charge. He was front and center every day. Maybe he's planning it this way purposefully. Who knows? He's more than willing to throw anyone but himself under the bus. Yeah. But back to Jeffrey Goldberg, though, it still amazes me that he removed himself from the chat.
I know.
Like it is so amazing to me. Like he was added to the chat. There was not that information was all being offered to him. He was in the clear. Maybe if there were specific names that would put their, who were involved in a mission that would put their, health or lives at risk, you would redact those. But otherwise, everything he was given was basically in the clear because they put him in the chat and he fucking removes himself. It's stunning.
Well,
That's
I'm
journalism, baby.
Yeah, like I totally agree. It's interesting. Like when you take a screenshot on Signal, that's when they notify the other user. You can't take screenshots. Is my recollection.
There's actually ways around that. Even you just connect your phone to your computer, and you can just take screenshots of the phone mirror imaging to your desktop or laptop.
Or just take a photo. With someone else's phone of your phone.
Yeah.
So I guess even the best faith excuse I could come up with isn't even that legitimate.
Whomst among us hasn't CC'd the wrong person on a work email? Whomst among us hasn't left the attachment, hasn't, sent a
Actually, I have never done that. Never once done any.
You've never, I did, taken a screenshot of something someone else sent you and then tried to send it to somebody else, shit talking that person, and then sent it immediately back to that person. I think about that once, that thing I did in college once a month, and my stomach drops every single time.
Note to self, if I ever become the president, Emma's not invited to my Signal chat.
That was horrible. Okay, let's take a call here. Calling from a 682 area code. Who's this? Where you calling from?
Hey, hello, Emma. This is from North Texas, not Nick Fuentes. Can you hear me?
Not Nick Fuentes from North Texas. We hear you great. How you doing?
I have a theory about these people not using WhatsApp instead of Signal. It's probably because WhatsApp is using, is sending all that data to Meta, so Mark Zuckerberg can see that, and they will just pass that data to Donald Trump easily. So that's why they're using Signal. I'm surprised they're not using Telegram because otherwise.
Well, I'll say this, just in media, in the rare instances I've ever communicated with a politician, it's been on Signal. So it's kind of a thing in DC.
Of all the major messaging apps, Signal is actually the most secure. Like, this isn't a Signal issue. This was a user error. Like, this is not Signal's fault or problem.
Yeah.
The Signal is actually, of all the major messaging apps, the most secure. There have been situations where they've been subpoenaed for the information they have, and literally all they have is, I believe, your telephone number and the date and time you signed up for Signal. Other than that, they store none of the information on their servers. It's all encrypted, peer-to-peer, stored on device. So that's the main reason why Signal is used. But with that said, Signal is also banned from government issued phones because of the fact that it is
right.
It is not secure, obviously. The device is not secure because if the device is, in terms of if the device is
bugged.
Get bugged or get into the device, they have access to that stuff. So the way these communications should be done when it comes to classified material is technically like in person or through like intranet communication systems where it could only be run on very secure government devices that don't allow anything else on it. So they failed both of those. Like Signal, like they had to use Signal on their personal phones, which is even more incredible that they were sharing this stuff on their personal device.
Remember the whole personal server thing about these are sort of personal servers you have in your pockets.
The The real question is, why weren't they using X group DMs if it's so secure? Like, why weren't they
an indictment?
The everything app.
And then
Elon Musk will say everything.
Yeah, Grok would have been like, this should be classified information.
Yeah, I also have another thing about, one last thing before I leave. This whole thing, Jeffrey Goldberg serving in the military and the Atlantic being pro-Israel, is probably because the Koch brothers and the Wilkes brothers, the guys that funded the Daily Wire and PragerU, are the same ones funding the Atlantic. So that's probably, I'm kind of like, have this, the Atlantic is right, but they're Zionists. But they're right. But they're also Zionists, and I just go back and forth.
Well,
and,
you can hold two thoughts, I think, at the same time, right? Which is the sense that, like, the Atlantic, they're a center-right paper, they're Zionists, it's not my paper of choice, but they are correct in this instance, right? So, appreciate the call, though. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Bye.
I don't know about the Koch brothers owning the Atlantic or funding the Atlantic.
Yeah, I would have to verify that.
I think it's shitty on its own accord.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they just post like garbage for the love of the game. They just post like neoliberal slop for the love of the game.
For the love of the game.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.